Somehow Reagan's 11th commandment is now fully dead.
Look, there's been a lot of division inside our party on a lot of issues lately. There's no doubt that the isolationist wing has been ascendant. But, Leland, if you look at polling of those who self-identify as MAGA, still 90 to 95% support the president's efforts in the Middle East.
Right. So what is this sort of very online MAGA influencer crew?
It's a very online crowd, which I think often doesn't really represent where real America is. But there's no doubt that there's a lot of attention around that crowd. And look, I think the crowd was largely responsible for J.D. Vance's ascendancy. So I can't say it's not important. It definitely has a loud voice inside our party.
Well, you think about J.D. Vance's ascendancy, right? And we did a segment last night, I think it was prescient, that J.D. Vance seems to be moving to the periphery of the Trump administration, and Marco Rubio is being championed by President Trump. Does that mean that President Trump is understanding that the isolationist wing is problematic?
I wouldn't say that. I think the president, picks and chooses people inside his own team that he elevates and then diminishes at different times. So I wouldn't read too much into that. I think that no doubt that the president's efforts in Venezuela, his efforts in the Middle East have shown significant strength, and I think they've been very successful. And as you said, this military campaign has been really successful. I just don't think what they missed on is the opportunity to explain to the American people the importance of taking this action now. And look, I think that you already know the midterm primary issue is affordability. And, tonight you have hundreds of millions of barrels that have been announced to be released from strategic petroleum reserves, and yet prices over $90 a barrel tonight because of the concern about tankers getting attacked. And so this is going to remain the primary issue between now and November.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out, I think, that the prices during President Biden's time, the gas prices and oil prices, were much, much higher than they are today. And yet, I think you seem, and a lot of Republicans I talk to, seem very concerned about it.
Look, Leland, I think that the president had significant success, he and Chris Wright and others, in lowering our energy prices. But I think in many ways that masks the challenges of his trade agenda. And now, if you're taking away that benefit of all you've done on energy prices because of this war, which, again, I support, I think it's right, but if you haven't explained to the American people why this is necessary, and all of a sudden you now see prices skyrocketing, and at the same time the administration is elevating their 122 tariffs from 10 to 15% this week, and just tonight, U.S. Trade Representative Office announced new investigations under 301 for more tariffs. Like, you're feeding into the frenzy right now of why prices are continuing to elevate.
All right, so perhaps the one thing that most Republicans I talk to agree on is what Rand Paul is willing to say publicly about where this is headed.
I think the 2026 elections already, we are behind the 8 ball as far as the electoral process. I think if you add in high gas prices, high oil prices, and if we are still bombing Iran with kinetic action, people don't want to call it war, but if there's still kinetic action that causes oil to be over $100, I think you're going to see a disastrous election.
Wow, what a prophecy.
Well, look, Americans don't like one party in control anyhow. So when you say you're already behind the 8 ball, that's true. Americans prefer divided governments. You have to assume that at least the House will go Democrats. But I think there's a real risk that the Senate does as well right now. And I agree with him on the challenges of affordability. Again, though, I think the president's actions possibly could be transformational in the Middle East for generations to come.
We've been extraordinarily supportive of it. There's no single group of people responsible for more dead Americans the past 47 years than the Iranians.
Right.
And they're the ones who've been chanting death to America for 47 years. Sometimes it's helpful to take people like that at their word. President Trump realizes that the oil prices are an issue and realizes he doesn't have, I think, public support for a long and protracted war. Here he is today in Kentucky.
Oil prices are already coming back down, and it's going to come down, but we're not leaving until that job is finished, and it's going to be very fast.
Is there a play for Republicans that if this works out and if by June the Middle East has been transformed, that becomes a huge thing to run on in November?
Absolutely. If they're successful and the Middle East is transformed, I mean, again, that would be generational. That would be a huge accomplishment. But I think, again, Leland, the cost to the American people should have been explained of what you anticipate with higher energy prices on the front end as opposed to playing catch up on the back end.
Yeah, well, it is, I think, the first time, as somebody who was involved in communications would know, it's the first time we have ever been in a process of selling a war after starting a war.
Right. And President Trump is incredibly gifted, obviously, as a salesman. He's incredibly gifted at this, and he can still do it. But it has to be a consistent message and not one that changes every day.
Right, whether we're winning or whether it's going to take longer. Marc Short,
Leland, thanks.
Thank you very much. Great to have you as always.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.